Hey everybody, this is episode of 3 Minutes to Vitality. And today I just want to address in a couple of moments, brief moments, a pretty big topic of interest and that's significant to us, and it's actually fitness. And one of the things that happens with fitness is we all get these images of what it means to be fit, but really don't have an idea of what it really is. So what is fitness? Sometimes you'll come to mind, you'll think of the bodybuilder, the guy, the buff guy that we might think about who's on the beach. We might think about the runner. That we say, oh, that long distance runner, he's exceedingly fit. Whatever, a lean woman who actually looks toned. Okay, great, those are all images of fitness, and that person can be fit. But what is actually fitness? And there are three components that really define fitness itself. The first one being aerobic fitness, endurance. The second one would actually be strength, and the third one would be flexibility. So there are three components that go into it. So the first one we mentioned was endurance. So what's endurance about? Some with say aerobics, people think about people in tight, stretchy clothes bouncing around. It's a loud, fast-moving music. Well, aerobic just means actually it deals with oxygen and oxygen exchange. So this means our heart rates go up, our circulation goes up, our respirations go up, and we're actually engaging in something that increases our local metabolism and the demand for oxygen on an ongoing basis. So what does that incorporate? Well, it's walking, it's biking, it's recumbent biking, it's swimming, it's running, it's all those things that increase our rates. Now, what does that do for us? Well, the first thing it does is, of course, it increases efficiency of heart rate function and contractility. So there's a fancy thing called eustress, E-U-S-T-R-E-S-S, eustress. EU always means true. So it can be equated as good stress. Then there's distress, D-Y-S stress, distress, which is bad stress. Well, exercise of this nature is actually eustress because it takes the cardiac muscle, for example, the heart, and it actually makes that thing work, and it works consistently. So you increase the rate, it works faster over a period of time, and by doing so, it becomes more efficient because the body says, wow, I'm stressed, there's a need, there's a physical and a physiologic demand put upon me, let me adapt. So it adapts to that need and actually gets more and more efficient the more you do it at actually doing what it does. So then when you have something happen in your life where you have a physical need, you need to run after something, you get emotional stress, psychological stress, whatever it is, you're better able to adapt again. Circulation increases to the brain, which decreases our risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. We decrease, when we exercise, we actually increase inflammation in our bodies, believe it or not. And by increasing that inflammation, our bodies become more efficient at getting rid of that inflammation. So the more we exercise, we create some, but we get better at getting rid of it. So on day-to-day stresses, which create inflammation, poor foods, lack of sleep, emotional stress, etc., our bodies are better able to get rid of generalized inflammation, which is the substrate, the groundwork, the beginning of really every pathology or disease that we experience. So that aerobic fitness, that efficiency of the lungs to work, of gas exchange in our bodies become more efficient at using oxygen and getting rid of carbon dioxide and other gaseous waste. So it creates this efficiency on every level, which is pretty amazing. Strength is nothing more than, again, that repetitious good stress. Because if I have my biceps and I'm going to do curling exercises, well, my body perceives the stress a need for strength. It goes, wow, look at that. I've got the stress on me that keeps happening. So what does the body do? It adapts. So the muscle changes its tone. It becomes more efficient. It develops bigger fibers. It gets tone. It looks nice. But more importantly than that, it actually works much more efficiently to contract and move. So then when I'm actually functioning and I do other things, will I actually be able to avoid falling? Because my muscles contract and they adapt and they move better. Absolutely. When something sudden happens and I could actually have a need for quick strength, will it be there for me? Absolutely. It also affects the part of the nervous system through these cells in the muscles. They're called muscle spindle cells, doesn't really matter. But they stimulate through the spinal cord up to the brain. They stimulate function in the brain and help to, the fancy word is modulate brain activity. Pretty interesting stuff. The third one is flexibility. And yeah, it feels great when you get out of a chair, you want to sit cross-legged on the floor, you need to get into the trunk of the car and reach in and get around. You want to be able to move with freedom. Who wants to have to go, and groan and not be able to move and do the stuff that we want to do? So flexibility is just day-to-day, helps us to feel good, to function, to do better. But most importantly, when we get flexible into stretching exercises or Pilates or yoga, Tai Chi, something that creates and enhances flexibility, We also notice that it actually, again, stimulates nerve endings in the joints. So the more a joint moves, these fancy things are called mechanoreceptors, get stimulated, and again, they prime the brain, so they wake up the brain. So that's why we find that, one of the reasons anyway, that we find that people who actually have flexibility, have strength, have endurance, we see lower rates of cardiovascular disease, lower rates of cancer, lower rates of Alzheimer's, lower rates of type 2 diabetes, lower rates of arthritis, lower rates of general whole body pain. The list goes on. So when we think of fitness, think three things. Think endurance, think flexibility, think strength. It's not just about looking good. So this is our current installment of 3 Minutes to Vitality, and we'll see you next time.